Hello everyone, this is Varsha and you are watching the series of success stories brought to you by Indian Achievers Forum. So once again, we are here with you all to discuss the success story of one more achiever of ours, and this time we have with us Aparna Challu. Aparna Challu, a Kashmiri from Karnataka, as she describes herself, launched Respect Origins as a global online artisans-led lifestyle marketplace, with Crafts Bazaar being the exhibition's brand. Aparna has an enviable global career and started successful greenfield operations in the UK, Europe before returning to India. For Aparna Challu and her team, it is a mission they are on to make a difference every moment, day and night, financially, emotionally, and socially to ensure support is always only a phone call away. As Respect Origin scales, she intends to keep this social connect intact and upfront. With emerging collaboration tools and mobile apps, the blueprint includes the enabling of direct communication between rural craftspersons and global consumers. But before we actually start the conversation with her, let's quickly have a look at a very small video telling you about what we actually do.
Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows, and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Hello, ma'am, how are you?
Very well, Varsha. Thank you for having me.
Right, ma'am. So before we actually start the conversation, I'm very keen to know that how did you actually land up to the idea of starting up with this particular thing of yours, as in this company or the handloom works of yours?
I have had a reasonably long and successful global career in IT. And over the last 10 and 20 years, the way technologies have developed, the way the internet and the mobile technology has made it possible for people to function out of homes, for anybody to sell their products, their services globally, for people to reach different places of the world just via their cell phone. That exposure to technology, having been in a global consumer market, having been a shopper myself, I chose to come back to India. And I very much was driven by a passion for how fabulous our heritage is, how rich it is, how diverse it is, and how these fantastic products that we see selling in melas and we see selling in, small stores or sometimes even large brands do not actually find the right market and are not as easily accessible as they could be, as they should be. And I think equally and more importantly, in fact, is that the rural craftspersons, the rural village behind that craft that has carried on this tradition over centuries, that does not ever find representation in either India's growth story or again then in the rural inclusivity that is happening all over the world. So those faces of these fabulous artisans remain unknown. And these crafts most often are subsumed under the identity of other product sets and large designers and brands. And therefore, the crafts and their stories also remain reasonably unknown. So, my exposure to technology, exposure to global business, the coming of age of internet technologies, the availability of mobile phones in India, the timing is perfect. We are a huge market ourselves within India for handlooms and handicrafts, and with sustainable living becoming, full frontal. I think for most conscientious citizens in India, definitely more so, I would say, in some parts of the Western world, more affordable as well. With that being full frontal, for anything that any product set, for any service, for any outreach that requires a global consumer base and can be enabled by technology, the time is right. And India offers the diversity, and it offers the skill sets, if it offers the wide range in terms of crafts and cultures to take to the Indian and global market. So, broadly speaking, those are the reasons behind it. And of course, always informed by a huge passion and dedication for my motherland. Like all people, it's very, very dear to me. And I feel in my lifetime, I do need to make the best contribution I can. And I do need to engage and associate with anybody I can to participate in what is now Atmanirbhar Bharat as a mission. So, all of that really, Varsha.
Right, ma'am. So now, thinking of an idea and its execution are actually two very different things. So if
Absolutely.
I talk about your journey towards this, thing of yours, what sort of challenges you have to face while growing in it?
Well, there are challenges that are common to all businesses, all entrepreneurs. You know, you're doing things for the first time, so that's always a challenge, and that's the beauty, and that's what attracts us all. Uh, in having a marketplace, which is what we do, you know, we are an online marketplace for artisans. We set up their stores free. We do their photo shoots. We write about their products. We do the marketing. So that's basically what we are trying to do. We are setting up shops, and so the challenge is to move our own people into the internet way of selling, into selling without being present in person. You know, you're not at a mailer, you're at a virtual mailer. So obviously that is a challenge in itself. Then obviously there is the other associated challenge of the product actually being every time, being of the spec, being specifically as per the photograph and dimensions provided, because it's handcrafted. Handcrafted doesn't always, match. It's dyed by hand, it's organically dyed, they're natural dyes, I mean, all of that. So working to give the consumer what we promise, and that communicates brand India. So you really can't let up on that. And I would say that is a primary challenge. It will remain one. It should remain one. And then the last of it, of course, is again the consumer experience. Extremely important. We live in a time where people are used to great service. There are very large corporates that are in the e-commerce business, and they have set the bar high, as it should be. And then we come along, we are about rural inclusivity. We are kind of not driven by profitability, not driven by the same engines that drive corporate growth. You're working hard to deliver quality, and you're doing that with a human touch. You're doing that keeping the human face behind the product visible, and you're trying to keep that communication and engagement as real as is possible, because that's the differentiator of the brand. Communicating respect origins, communicating that where people come from and that heritage, it lives in that product that a consumer buys, touches, uses, and it's all about people. That is the final challenge.
Right, ma'am. So if you can please elaborate a bit about the products that Respect Origins provides to people out there.
Sure, sure. So if I was to look at it in terms of how consumers view products, then I'd say we are a marketplace for home and living products. We have apparel for women and men. We have products that are entirely handcrafted. So every bit that you see online is always made by hand. It is always made by people who are themselves the artisans. It We are very specific about ensuring not using chemicals, not using plastics, and we are all about sustainable living. And the raw materials, therefore, are extremely important. We ensure, and we try to ensure that they are free of any exposure to chemicals. And so that basically is what informs again the product set. So if we look at the materials, all that is in nature's basket, which is the category we have, they're all the grasses across the Gangetic plains of India, basically. Then all the wools are from the Himalayan valleys, and right from Kashmir and then to Himachal and across. All the cotton is from all the places in India that cotton is grown, and as well as linen. And then the embroidery comes across the chief tribal belts of India, as well as which typically include everything from Rajasthan to Gujarat, West Bengal, coming down into Lambani and Karnataka. So it's a widespread Orissa. And the weavers, again, all across, from Tamil Nadu up to Maharashtra, right across, and you could, a lot of it happening in West Bengal, a lot of it happening in Northeast India, in Assam, everybody weaves. So those are the traditions, and that's the heritage behind this range of products. So again, handcrafted at all times, organically produced, made by hands, human hands, and always carrying the heritage and story behind the village that has owned the craft, that has kept it alive, that has had a symbiotic relationship with the craft, because it's given them a living as well, which is now a challenge, because livelihood isn't as easy to get. And at the same time, what you can buy and what you can afford out of a living, that takes you a month to make a product, and that one product sells, perhaps more expensive than something that, 1,000 pieces are made in a factory in the same time. So that's a bit of a challenge, but that's broadly the range. And jewelry is something that has taken on in a very big way. Pottery has taken on in a very big way. Again, this is pottery from Manipur, black pottery, very, very popular in North America at this time. Then there is the blue pottery from Rajasthan, again, doing extremely well. So, all brands of India, and when I say brands, I mean the crafts, I mean the people. Um, all of them at this point in time are sought after. And if we can continue to deliver well, then there is a huge, huge market. There's a huge global market. It's in the Middle East, definitely in Europe, definitely in America, and there are lots of consumers and lots of retailers that look out for us, from actually increasingly from Australia and even Japan. So it's extremely, extremely exciting, really.
Wonderful, ma'am. So now, talking about the future, what further plans are you having for your company in the upcoming years? If you can please brief us a bit about those plans or share your plans with us.
Sure, sure. Our plans are all out in the public, because any plan we have is completely um, correlated with and dependent on how much we engage with people and ambassadors around us, and how much Indians want to take brand India out. And within India, we have just opened an experience store. It's where I'm sitting right now in Bangalore. And we are in July, on the 17th of July, opening one in Tamil Nadu. We have also started a range of products in the Nilgiris, which is where we have a base. We operate out of there. That range is all about the tribal belt in Nilgiris that actually produces all essential oils, and they do some wonderful, wonderful products that are used then by companies for their herbal care. Of course, there is everything that goes into the Ayurvedic medicine as well. So then there are teas, and there's everything associated with that comes from the Nilgiris. So that's a separate brand which we haven't launched as yet. It's been about a year in the making, but by the end of July, we hope to get that out. We have an experience store that we are hoping to put out in Gurgaon by the end of the year. We're looking at October, Diwali time. And in addition to this, in the US, where we are globally present, but we also have our offices and presence in the US, in New York, as well as in LA, California. And we are looking to open our first store for home and living, home goods in California, specifically in LA. So that's for the next 6-8 months. That's the plan, and we intend to pursue it very, very aggressively.
Right, ma'am. And I wish you all the success for all these plans of yours as well.
Thanks, appreciate it, Varsha. Thank you very much.
Right, ma'am. So now moving ahead and talking about this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan or Self-Reliant India movement, an
Right,
initiative by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji.
right.
What do you have to say on this concept of becoming Atmanirbhar, and also how is your company working towards it? Though the kind of work you are doing is itself a very Atmanirbharta wala thing, but still, what do you have to say on this campaign?
Well, I think I am totally in awe of our Prime Minister, as I'm sure many people are. I'm very, very proud of him. I'm proud of what India is becoming. And I believe, given our given our young population, as he keeps pointing out, given our extremely brilliant minds, given the inherently entrepreneurial nature of Indians. Indians are basically fundamentally entrepreneurial people. If you look at, just look outside your taxi or scooter or bus, and you find people on cycles. They're carrying a whole store. They're selling tea, they're selling cigarettes, they're selling, cookies, they have samosas. Just one cycle does that. You look at women who are, again, street sellers. They carry everything that you can possibly need. And if you want something they don't have, they'll get it for you. So that DNA of India, that entrepreneurial DNA of India, is being demonstrated, via the large businesses that have now gone global all over, of course. But our villages, our rural Indians, our really pride and joy. They carry the spirit, and they also have, they have the intellect, they have all the soft skills needed, and they're extremely customer focused, which is again, in the world of business, and to be atmanirbhar, you've got to, the customer is everything. So if you can deliver what the customer needs, if you can meet the expectation, you're done. And your business will flourish, you'll flourish, and your community flourishes, villages flourish, and the country flourishes. So Atmanirbhar Bharat, for a country like ours, our kind of population, with the skill sets like ours, it is only right that we be from defense and, technologies that are defense technologies, obviously, to everything that has to do with manufacturing, to everything that has to do with, production in rural India, and of course textiles, and the whole length and breadth of it. We must be to our grain. If you reduce the amount of imports that you need, because you have the land, you have the ability, you have the skills to develop what you need, to grow what you need for your own consumption. Having said that, if we are in a global economy, we should always be looking at importing, the best of something that's happening somewhere else. And the whole universe is codependent, and all economies thrive by doing that. So we always, it's a nice and a fine balance. But I think Atmanirbharta really means, it's not just about, supply, demand, and all of that. It's not just about the economics of it. It is about the self-reliance that a nation must have, which leads to resilience, which leads to innovation. It leads to doing things better. It leads to doing things faster. It leads to thinking long term. It leads to having a strategy, which is not, a move that is made just in the moment. It leads to carrying generations forward and thinking, how are you, Atmanirbharta doesn't happen in a day or a month and a year and maybe not even a decade. But how do you set milestones that you can work towards and carry your entire communities with you? And doing that when it's informed by policy, doing that when it's informed by the intent of the government in a democracy as large as ours, doing that when it's supported by industry and industry leaders, and we have the best anywhere in the world, doing that when you've got the best engineering institutes, you've got the best IIMs, and we are, as opposed to when we were independent in 47 to now, if we had 500 then we've gone up like 100-fold. So with all of that ecosystem in place, including everybody, we're all stakeholders in this. In that, Atmanirbharta is, it's closely associated with national pride, and I believe we are on the path to it. And I believe this generation behind us and the following generations behind us will grow into the light in a completely different way. And they have a free mindset, they have a free attitude, and they are going to learn very, very early, just by looking around them, that this is a land where dreams come true. And our prime minister is a phenomenal story of that. It's a phenomenal story, phenomenal success story, a phenomenal story as an example of how to be and what you can become in India. I don't believe there is a story like that anywhere in the world, actually, in the world of business leaders and heads of states. So Atmanirbharta, it's where we are headed, definitely.
Very, very rightly said, ma'am. So now, as you know, that this year India would be celebrating the 75th year of independence, which is
Right.
famously known as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
what do you have to say on this, as in how far we have come, and also what is your vision pertaining to this?
Look, Varsha, it's. I think we have come a long, long way. We have come a long way just in the last few years, in the last decade. But whenever we look at performance, in life, in business. And I think that's what we should do as a country. We look at all the indices, we look at all the parameters around it. So if we look at the parameter of poverty, if we look at health, if we look at female infanticide, if we look at indigenous production of, defense technology, if we look at literacy in women, if we look at the percentage of women that are in participating in our economy and as taxpayers, if we across all of these, we have moved forward very, very well. And we have had where we've not done as well as we could have, because we didn't do very well as an economy, perhaps because we didn't do very well because we had some challenges politically. But all the trends that you can look at, and definitely over the last decade and so, are are enormously upward. So we've done, and we only have to again look around us in our neighborhood. We've done phenomenally well, and we can't forget we're a democracy. So retaining a democratic model, and functioning as within the federal system that we have, it is incredible that we have accomplished what we have, and we should be ever so proud of ourselves. We Whenever we look at where we stand, it's good to look at where others have gone. It's good to look at the richest countries, the most the most successful in terms of economic wealth. It's good to look at all of that, but it's relevant to look back and reflect on and look at the stats, look at the numbers, and also look around and look at what development means. Look around at the numbers of cars in a family. Look around at the number of phones in kids are using. Look around at how COVID happened, and we are one of the countries that had a phenomenal management of it. Look at how our children went to school. Children who across India using mobile technologies, and look how fast that has happened in the last decade. For a country our size, it is completely incredible. And look at the way our systems are organized. When you get off an airport here, and everything from the way we've done our GST systems and filing now, the way we are doing our Aadhaar, the way we are linking to identification, all of that, the way our banking is happening, everybody is on one paying system or the other. I don't want to name a brand. People are using their phones and paying. There are people who are, not just the younger generation, across generations and across rural as well as, cosmopolitan India. So that kind of inclusivity and that explosion of awareness and application, I mean, that tells you how far we've come. So definitely Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav बहुत ही ड्यू है और बहुत ही शान और मान से मनाना है, because we've done it, we've earned it, and we are moving forward in full steam. Everything to be proud of, everything to feel positive about, everything to celebrate, really. Everything.
Right, ma'am. So now comes the question which I personally love to, ask our awardees, and that is, what are your feelings on winning this Indian Achievers Award?
Well, gratitude, humility, um, joy, and also I think it makes one a little more resolute. It makes one more focused, and it does the teams get excited. It's a validation of the idea. It's a validation of their efforts. It's a validation of how we connect and communicate. And it also means that if you are not funded and you are not the unicorn, you still have a path. And the society you live in values you, and you have a role to play in enabling them. And so your life can be a contribution. All our lives are meaningful, so it means all of those things. And again, I say I'm extremely appreciative of it, because like I said, we are self-funded, and we do not get much coverage, because marketing is hard. Getting your word out is hard. And anytime somebody does that, and we get on the radar, and more Indians know about our existence, more Indians want to participate, more global consumers want to participate, it carries us forward. It's the wind behind our wings. So extremely grateful for your taking the time and thinking we are worthy of it. So really appreciate that. Thanks very, very much to IIF. IIF is actually the Indian Air Force, and that's where my father comes from. So I have a
Same
very
here.
yeah. So it's a very strong bond, and so the IAF award means a lot to me. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. And I once again congratulate the entire team of yours on this achievement.
I'll share that with them. Thanks very much, Varsha. Thank you very, very much. Thank
Right,
you.
ma'am. So now, as we have discussed a lot about your professional journey and also the future plans that you are having, tell us a bit about the CSR activities too that you are involved in, please.
So, you see, our role, everything I do is technically CSR, and everything I've done for a long time is technically CSR. But in addition to what we do for rural inclusivity and equal opportunity, I've been involved with something I started many years ago. It's called Shakti Sutra. Shakti Sutra is, women, the Shakti, connecting in a sutra, connecting together with men and women to essentially enable women at the workplace, upskill, to give them the soft skills they need, to give them the confidence that sometimes you don't quite get, to do the peer mentoring that is required and that we all benefit from. And this started many years ago. And the company I was with actually had instituted an award that was called the Shakti Sutra Award, the Shakti Award. And I've just simply carried that on and carried that forward. And some of the things, some of the steps, concrete steps that I wanted to take then, and I've continued to take, is that all resumes that come to a company, the hirer, the HR team, the talent acquisition team should look at 50% of those resumes being women. Now, once the interview process is carried out, if women don't make it, that's another story. Let's also find out why they don't make it. Is it the skills? Is it the will? Is it they have personal pressures? And what is it that keeps us from hiring them? If they're shortlisted in a resume, then what is it that keeps us from hiring them? So that's something that's been very close to my heart, and I think I will continue to press on with that. And anytime I get to participate in a forum, that's the one thing that I raise extremely aggressively. And around me, in 10-kilometer radius, in schools that are there, and I move and I live in different parts of the country as well, but in that 10-kilometer radius, I look at schools that are there, and how we can look at children who are girls who have either dropped out or who are not doing extremely well, so are not likely to be continued to be paid for by their parents. So we look at how their tuition can be funded, and we can ensure and work towards ensuring they continue to stay in school. Because sometimes in our education system, you've just got to be brilliant. Everybody is brilliant, but not in academics. People are brilliant in sports, people are brilliant in extracurricular activities, and sometimes girls just don't have that confidence and haven't had a chance. They haven't had a chance to speak at home, they haven't had a chance to play. Boys are into cricket and they're into whatever it is, football, and they are taught to lead at home. So that's something, again, that's extremely close to my heart. And I think it's good to have things that are close to your heart, but you've got to put steps in place and execute them, small steps, and just keep working on. So, Varsha, that's primarily it. We have a tagline, and it says, "If she can play, we can win." And I'll share with you. It's a lovely graphic that we did a few years ago, and so that's how it is.
Sure, ma'am. So now, before concluding our lovely session, what message or mantra you would like to give to a younger generation to become successful in their careers?
Oh, I would say, find your passion. Take something that you're passionate about. Take something that you absolutely are crazy about. You love to do, and then stay with it. Pursue it. Give it everything you got, every waking moment you've got, every ounce of energy you got, every thought. Study about it, read about it, get to know everything about it, research it, go to YouTube, do everything you can to inform yourself about it, equip yourself with the knowledge and the skills, and go out there and every day just keep trying it. Put yourself out. And it can be anything you choose to do. You can choose to be a farmer today and decide, I'm going to be the best organic farmer. You can choose to be, a sports representative that is actually working at getting students in villages or in cities together to train for a sport. You can choose to be a nutritionist. You can choose, there are so many, and all of them are not academically oriented. So you can pick what you'd like to do and what you're passionate about, and go after it. Just go after it. You're in a country where anything's possible. You're in a country where there is a need for everything. And the largest consumers, probably anywhere in the world in this decade and in the next 2 decades, are going to be in your country. So go out there, take yourself with you, Equip yourself, educate yourself, compete, fail, win, compete again, and just keep going. And you are certain to succeed in what you've chosen in life. And that is to be the best you can be. That is success. Be the best you can be.
Right, ma'am, and I'm pretty sure that these words of yours will surely be helping out the youngsters out there. So, thank you so very much for joining with us today. It was pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the success for all your future endeavors as well. And may you continue to inspire us the way you are doing. Thank you so very much for your time.
Lovely words, Varsha. I really appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. Thanks very, very
Thank,
much. Real
thank
pleasure. Thank you to IF. Jai Hind. Namaste.